This is the Historic Resources Commission, and I guess we'll start with introductions. This time I'll start to my right.
I'm Mark Lindgren, recorder.
Carl Metz, Associate Planner, Planning Division.
Dan Miller, Deputy City Attorney.
I'm Peter Kelly, and I'm a commissioner.
Kathleen Harris, I'm a commissioner.
Charles Robinson, Commissioner.
Kathy Kerr, Commissioner.
Lori Stevens, Chair.
Mike Wells, Commissioner.
Jim Ridlington, Planning Commission Liaison.
Okay, well, welcome. I guess we'll start off with visitor propositions if there's anyone here to discuss anything. No? Okay, great. Then we will just go into the first hearing, which is OSU Bates Hall HPP 16-00015. And the order of tonight's proceedings shall be staff report followed by applicant's presentation, public testimony in favor of application, public testimony in opposition, neutral testimony, commission questions of staff, rebuttal by applicants or rebuttal by opponents, commission deliberations, and final decision. Persons testifying, either orally or in writing, may request a continuance to address additional documents or evidence submitted in favor of the application. If this request is made, please identify the new document or evidence during your testimony. Persons testifying may also request that the record remain open 7 additional days to submit additional written evidence. Request to keep the record open should be included in your testimony. The public hearing is now open. Do any commissioners wish to declare any conflicts of interest? No. Okay, seeing none. Do any commissioners wish to declare any ex parte contacts? Seeing none. Do any commissioners wish to declare site visits?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start off with my right if there's anything unusual.
Well, I've never seen many scuppers in my life, so it was interesting to go around and see where they are and what they look like. So I did that.
Good.
Both places.
All right, good. That was Commissioner Kelly.
I saw both sites. Commissioner Harris.
Okay, Commissioner Harris. Yes. Anyone else? Commissioner Robinson.
I did a walkthrough looking for scuppers, roof line.
Okay. I did great. Okay, and I did not. Commissioner Wells, did you?
Just walked around the building, looked at the scuppers.
Okay, great. Are there any objections on, let's see, does anyone wish to rebut these disclosures of conflicts of interest, ex parte contacts, or site visits? Seeing none. Are there any objections on jurisdictional grounds, meaning that the City Commission is not the appropriate body for this hearing? Seeing none. Land use decisions, such as the case under consideration this evening, are evaluated against applicable criteria from the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan as presented in the staff report. We will now proceed to the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. Tonight before you is case HPP 1611 for the OSU Snell Hall.
Oh, I'm sorry. I read the wrong one, didn't I?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Yeah.
Yeah, I read the wrong one. So
we can change it if we change the order.
I don't really care. Let's just stick with Bates.
Okay.
Go with Bates first.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
They're
So
both
the case,
scuppers, so yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
The case before you is HPP 1615 for OSU Bates Hall. Here, the applicant requests HPP approval to relocate 6 existing scuppers on the east building elevation. Bates Hall is located at 110 Southwest 26th Street and is located within the OSU National Historic District, where it's classified a non-historic, non-contributing structure. The applicant is Oregon State University, and the representative of the planning department is here tonight. Public comment was mailed out to surrounding property owners and residents, and no public comment was received by planning staff. Bates Hall was constructed in 1992 near the southwest corner of Northwest Orchard Avenue and Northwest or Southwest 26th Street. It is a modern or postmodern in design with a low-profile terraced front facade, horizontal massing, and includes the use of rectangular, triangular, circular, and linear architectural features and accents. Other architectural elements more consistent with those found within the OSU Historic District include the use of red brick, running bond and stack bond soldier course brickwork, symmetrical fenestration, contrasting window headers, and a contrasting masonry base. The applicant is requesting to modify the location of 6 scupper downspout nozzles along the first and second stories of the front facade. All of the subject nozzles are currently located within a soldier course near the top of the respective floors. The proposed alteration would relocate the existing nozzles just below the current locations within portions of the running bond brickwork. The applicant states the former locations would then be filled with brick material to match and repaired as needed. Just want to make note, as they do in the staff report, that originally the applicant had proposed to install 2 metal cage ladders along the same facade that would provide access from the first story roof to the second story roof, but those have since been removed and are not subject to this request. HRC HPPs are subject to several review criteria, including consideration of 14 compatibility criteria. I'll briefly review what staff find to be the most pertinent. The first being the facades criteria. The applicant addresses consistency with this criterion within the narrative, and staff notes while the scupper downspout nozzles are and would continue to be visible from the front facade, which concern for the front facade is highlighted in the facade's criterion. Staff concur with the applicant's assessment that and find no primary architectural features would be altered by the proposed work. Therefore, staff find the proposed alterations to be consistent with the facade's compatibility consideration. Second criterion is concerning building materials. As previously discussed, the applicant proposes to relocate the existing scupper downspout nozzles just below the current locations, and the vacated areas would then be filled and repaired with brick material to match the material. Staff find the reuse of the existing nozzles and the use of brick material to match the existing brickwork to satisfy the building materials criterion. Concerning architectural details, the applicant addresses this criterion within the narrative, and while the applicant states no architectural detail will be affected by the request, staff does not quite agree with that statement. Instead, staff find that the stack bond soldier course where the nozzles currently are located, staff find that to be an architectural detail similar to trim or ornamentation. Therefore, staff find the relocation of the nozzles from the soldier course to the running bond portions actually minimize or reduce the amount, any negative impacts the existing nozzles may have on this architectural detail. In either event, staff find that the proposed alteration to be consistent with architectural details criterion. And with that, staff is recommending the HRC approve the HPP as presented and conditioned, and be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, does anyone have any preliminary questions of staff at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will hear the applicant's presentation.
I need just a minute to pull up I had the Snell.
Sure, I'm sorry, I should have asked if it was going to change what you said.
Well, as you're pulling that up, I'll do the raise it or waive it disclaimer. This would be a good time to remind those testifying that you should direct your testimony towards the applicable criteria in the case or other criteria in the municipal code, comprehensive plan, or land development code that you believe apply to this decision. The failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to allow the city or other parties the opportunity to respond to that issue precludes appeals to the State Land Use Board of Appeals based upon that issue. Additionally, the failure of the applicant to raise constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the local government to respond to that issue precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Robertson. I'm Associate
thank you.
Campus Planner for OSU. And tonight, OSU is requesting permission to relocate 6 scuppers on the east facade of Bates Hall. So I'll start. Bates is a modern-style brick building built in 1992, and it's 3 floors. It's located in the north edge of the OSU National Historic District. To the east is Ballard Extension, to the west is Cordley Hall, and to the south is Halley Ford. Both Cordley and Ballard Extension are contributing resources, but Bates and Halley Ford are not contributing resources in the district. Again, this is a little closer view, so you can see all of those neighboring structures in the district. So as I said, we are proposing relocating 6 of the scuppers on the east facade to positions a little bit lower, just below their current location. And I'm going to zoom in on both of those. So here's the existing locations. There are 2 on the second floor parapet and 4 on the lower floor parapet. I don't have my pointer, so 2, 3, 4 on the lower, and then the upper ones are a little difficult to see in that building detail, but they're on either side there. And as Carl noted, they're currently in a soldier course of brick. We're proposing moving them just below that soldier course into the running bond portions of the building and patching the their existing location with materials to match the current facade, the existing facade. As Carl noted, there was originally a proposal to modify the roof access ladders, and they're still shown in this drawing, so I wanted to show you that we have indeed removed those from the application, and here are the north elevation and the south elevation that shows those ladders removed. Here's a detail of the scupper as we're proposing it. We are relocating the existing scupper, so we were using the existing scuppers. And they're being lowered because we're re-roofing Bates Hall, and the existing scupper location does not meet building code to adequately drain our roof, so we are lowering it. There was an alternative option, but that would require some very large holes in the existing parapet, some very large notchings, and we felt the scupper option was less intrusive. Any questions?
Do any commissioners have questions of the applicant?
Yes.
Are you going to reuse
Commissioner
the
Wells.
same scuppers?
Yes, we're reusing the existing scuppers.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What are you trying to do? Because you're re-roofing the building. Doesn't that raise the level of the, whatever you call it?
It's Commissioner Kelly.
Is it the drain thing, it's over the roof? Wouldn't it raise that level up? So you're trying to improve the drainage, is that right?
Right, we're trying to meet building code required drainage for the roof. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of shown in that detail.
Does it drain properly currently? Or
I
are we just looking at trying to meet building code, or is there actually a problem?
don't know.
Because we have some water.
Yeah.
going to call in our project manager to answer that question for you.
Hi, Dustin Sievers, Oregon State University Project Manager. So these are strictly only for overflow condition, where your standard drain is clogged, and you're creating a ponding and a weighting on the roof itself. This is to relieve that pressure so the building roof structure doesn't collapse.
Right.
And in the current condition that it is, it doesn't meet current mechanical code. And so we had to drop it down for the overflow only. The existing drains drain fine.
Okay, that
Yeah.
was my question. Okay,
Yeah, this improves the overflow condition, which is typically what a scupper is for.
Okay, all right.
So you're going to lower the whole mechanism, this thing up here, and then this scupper comes out here. Just gonna
Correct.
Lower why don't you leave this alone and just lower the scupper, or vice versa?
Because the drain body needs to be within the perimeter instead of at the exterior of the wall. They need to move it in.
Yes. So it's going to drain instead right on the roof instead of having to fill up to where it was.
Looks improved. New
Does
and
that-
improved to me.
Correct.
Makes sense? Yeah. And we're just really looking at how it looks from the outside.
Essentially, it'll look the same, except the location is somewhat different.
Right.
What's the difference in elevation, shall we say, where it is now?
It's
When you
about-
lower it,
18 inches? Correct. And so that really facilitates an 18-inch drop to be able to move the drain body so that your elevation is here instead of up at that elevation, letting your roof fill up with water up to that level and overflow. You can set this drain body so that what's not shown here is the standard roof drain, which is about 2 inches below when this one would start draining the water off.
but you still have an overflow pipe in the same location?
Laterally, correct. It's just moved down from here to there.
Oh,
This is not there now.
This is all in addition to the standard drain plumbing that goes out to the storm.
oh,
This is really in a condition where the leaves have clogged the roof, it's ponding, you now have thousands of pounds loading your roof structure. So this is in that condition.
okay.
Great. Okay. Any other questions of the applicant? Okay. Seeing none, we will now move on to public testimony. Thank you. Beginning with testimony in favor of the application. Any testimony in favor? Seeing none. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none. Any neutral testimony? Seeing none. So since there is no public testimony, are there any further questions of staff? Okay. Seeing none, does the applicant waive a 7-day period to submit additional written argument?
We do.
Okay, great. So the public hearing is now closed. And would anyone want to deliberate or make a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay. Go make that motion. Yeah.
Let's see. I move to approve the OSU, we're on Bates, right?
And this is Commissioner Kerr.
Bates Hall Historic Preservation Permit Application, HPP 16-00015, as conditioned in the September 13th, 2016 staff report to the Historic Resources Commission. This motion is based on findings in support of the application presented in the September 13th, 2016 staff report to the Commission and findings in support of the application made by the Commission during deliberations on the request. Do I have to read these? I don't have to read these.
No. Okay, Commissioner Kerr has made a motion. Is there any other further discussion? And would anyone like to second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Robinson, I think was first, so first to second. So any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the application, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The application passes unanimously. Any participant not satisfied with this decision may appeal to the City Council within 12 days of the date of written decision is signed. Okay, now we will move on to the next hearing, which is Snow Hall, HPP 16-00011. The order of tonight's proceedings shall be staff report followed by applicant's presentation and public testimony in favor of the application, public testimony in opposition, neutral testimony, commission questions of staff, rebuttal by applicant, rebuttal by opponents, commission deliberations, and final decision. Persons testifying either orally or in writing may request a continuance to address additional documents or evidence submitted in favor of the application. If this request is made, please identify the new document or evidence during your testimony. Persons testifying may also request that the record remain open 7 additional days to submit additional written evidence. Requests to keep the record open should be included in your testimony. The public hearing is now open. Do any commissioners wish to declare any conflicts of interest? Go through this. None. Do any commissioners wish to declare any ex parte contacts? Seeing none. Do any commissioners wish to declare a site visit? Okay.
Same thing.
Okay, that's Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Harris, Commissioner Robinson, correct? And Commissioner Wells, maybe? No, Commissioner Wells did not. Okay. So does anyone wish to rebut these disclosures of conflicts of interest, ex parte contacts, or site visits? Seeing none. Are there any objections on jurisdictional grounds, meaning that the City Commission is not the appropriate body for this hearing? Seeing none. Land use decisions, such as the case under consideration this evening, are evaluated against applicable criteria from the Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan, as presented in the staff report. We will now proceed to the staff reports.
Thank you again. This case before you includes a request to relocate 2 existing scuppers, install 1 new scupper, and remove 1 brick chimney at the Snell Hall on the OSU campus. One of the subject scuppers is located on the north building elevation, and the other 2 are on the east building elevation. Snell Hall is located at 2150 Southwest Jefferson Avenue and is classified as a non-historic, non-contributing resource within the OSU National Historic District. Staff has received no public testimony with regards to this case. Snell Hall was constructed in 1958 at the southwest corner of Jefferson Avenue and Benton Place. It is modern in design, and its dominant architectural features include large expanses of aluminum frame curtain walls of blue metal panels and significant volumes of brick veneer. Snell Hall was originally built as a dormitory but converted to office and other non-residential uses in the 1990s. It was constructed outside of the OSU National Historic District period of significance and is classified, as I stated, as a non-historic, non-contributing resource. The applicant is requesting to modify the location of 2 scupper downspout nozzles and install 1 new nozzle and remove a chimney. The 2 scupper modifications would place each of the scupper downspout nozzles approximately 2 feet lower than their current locations on the north and east facades. The new scupper downspout is proposed along the east facade near the building's northeast corner. The applicant states that these modifications are necessary to comply with building code requirements. There is some conflicting information contained within the application materials. I outlined those in the staff report, but it's my understanding after talking to the applicant that my description earlier is accurate, that 2 are proposed to be relocated with 1 new additional scupper where there is currently none. The chimney proposed for removal is located near the building's northeast corner, adjacent to the elevator penthouse. And according to the applicant's narrative, the chimney has not been used since the building was converted to office use. With regards to the consideration of the 14 compatibility criteria, the first being the facades, the 2 existing scuppers are currently located in otherwise unadorned brick portions of their respective facades. According to the application materials, the proposed relocated nozzle locations will be about 2 feet lower than the current locations. The proposed new locations are also in similar brick facades, and no architectural elements will be impacted by the proposed alterations. While all the scupper locations are located on facades visible from Jefferson Avenue and Benton Place respectively, they're approximately 50 feet or above grade or higher. And given the proposed height and the relatively small size of the scuppers, staff find the scupper nozzles would be scarcely visible or noticeable, especially relative to the more dominant features of the building's architectural design. The chimney is not visible from the building's primary north facade, but it is visible from the secondary east facade along Benton Place. The subject chimney is largely utilitarian in design and is not strongly related to the building's modern design. In light of this analysis, staff find the proposed alterations to be consistent with the facade's compatibility consideration. Regarding building materials, as previously discussed, there is some conflicting information contained within the application materials regarding the number of scupper downspout nozzles subject to the request, and it's not clear if the applicant proposes to repurpose 2 of the nozzles and install 1 new nozzle, which may or may not match the other 2 existing scuppers. Staff recommends a condition of approval to address the inconsistent nozzle design, where staff is recommending the use of 3 matching nozzles, whether they be matching the existing nozzle design or the newer design as presented in the application materials. Staff find the either use the new proposed nozzle to be consistent with the building design as well as consistent with previous approvals on similarly classified and designed buildings, most notably the Pulling and Cawthorn buildings that were recently approved for the addition of scuppers of the same design. And with that, staff find that the proposal meets the building materials criterion. And additionally, staff find that none of the existing character-defining elements would be affected by the proposed alteration and that it is consistent with architectural details consideration. With that, staff is recommending the HRC approve the proposed HPP as presented, but also as conditioned with in pointing out the addition of condition of approval number 3 pertaining to the scupper design. This condition would require, again, that all 3 scuppers match in design. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great. Does anyone have questions of staff at this time? Okay, seeing none. We will now hear the applicant's presentation.
And again, before the applicant goes, just in case they've forgotten, I'll remind them to direct their testimony towards the applicable criteria in this case, or municipal code, comprehensive plan, or land development code that they believe apply to this decision. The failure to raise an issue along with sufficient evidence to allow the city or other parties to respond to that issue precludes appeals to the State Land Use Board of Appeals. Additionally, the failure to raise constitutional or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval with sufficient specificity to allow the city to respond precludes an action for damages in circuit court. Thank you.
Hello, I'm still Sarah Robertson.
Are you sure?
Campus planner. And with me tonight is Dustin Sievers, project manager for this project. OSU, in this application, OSU is requesting approval for the relocation of 2 scuppers, the installation of 1 new scupper, and the removal of a chimney on Snell Hall. Snell Hall is a non-contributing structure in the OSU Historic District. It is located in the northeast portion of the National Historic District. It's proximate to, McAlexander Fieldhouse and Waldo Hall, which are contributing structures, a Goss Stadium to the south, Valley Library to the north, and the Student Experience Center to the northeast, which are non-contributing structures in the Historic District. So as I noted, or as I said, OSU's requesting approval to relocate 2 scuppers, one of which is on the north facade. It will be relocated approximately 2 feet lower than its current location. We will either be repurposing the existing scupper spout or installing a new scupper spout. The detail for that I will share with you in a minute. And I should say as well, the existing scupper location will be patched to match, with materials to match the existing brick facade on the building. On the east facade, we are also relocating, or proposing to relocate the existing scupper, an existing scupper 2 feet lower than its current location. And we are proposing the installation of a new scupper in right about in there. You can see it called out, but that is the location of the new. And at that location, the building, actually, there's a jog in the building, so it's technically on the south facade of that jog. It's a little difficult to see there, but I have a couple more exhibits here. So here you see a little closer view of where that new scupper location will be. As I said, we will either be replacing the existing scupper spouts or reusing the existing scupper spouts and installing a new scupper spout to match the existing scupper spouts, or we'll be installing new scupper spouts on all of our scuppers. Whichever option we pursue, all of them will match each other. So we'll either be installing all to match existing or all to match this detail. The existing chimney we are proposing to remove. The current chimney is no longer in use. It previously serviced a kitchen when the building held dormitories, but since it was converted to office use, this chimney has not been used. It's deteriorating in condition, and we're concerned about its condition. We want to remove it, and we will cap the roof at that location. Like the Bates application, all of these modifications are being proposed because we are re-roofing Snow Hall. And those relocated scuppers, as is in the case with Bates, need to be lowered to meet building code requirements. The chimney, we believe, the chimney is visible only, as Carl said, from the east facade, the east elevation of the building. And as you can see from this photo, it is not excuse me. It is a utilitarian chimney. It is not an essential part of the building design. So removal of that chimney, we feel, will have no impact to the existing design of the building. And all of these modifications on a building of this height, we feel will be won't be very noticeable, because the building is approximately 60 feet high, and those modifications at that height will be pretty inconsequential, we think. Any questions?
Are there any questions of the applicants? Okay, seeing none, we will now move on to public testimony. Thank you. Is there any testimony in favor of the application? Seeing none, is there any testimony in opposition to the application? Seeing none, is there any neutral testimony? And there is none. So, let's see. At this time, are there any questions of staff? Any further questions? Okay, seeing none. Does the applicant waive a 7-day period to submit additional written arguments?
We do.
Okay, great. The public hearing is now closed. Would anybody like to deliberate anything or make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Great, Commissioner Kelly will make a motion.
I move to approve the OSU Snell Hall Historic Preservation Permit application, HPP 16-00011, as conditioned in the September 13th, 2016 staff report to the Historic Resources Commission. This motion is based on findings in support of the application presented in the September 13th, 2016 staff report to the commission and findings in support of the application made by the commission during deliberations on this request.
Great. And that will include that third one, right? Okay. So Commissioner Kelly has made a motion. Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay. Commissioner Harris has seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the application say aye.
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 All those opposed? Passes unanimously. Any participant not satisfied with this decision may appeal to the City Council within 12 days of the date of written decision. The written decision is signed. Great. Thank you for coming to present. That was fairly painless. Yeah.
We're glad you're still Susan Page.
Yeah. Great. Okay, well, moving on to, I guess, the minutes review for August 9th. Is there any corrections they'd like to make? If not, someone can make a motion to approve.
Move to approve Commissioner Kerr moves to approve the minutes.
Okay. Okay, we have Commissioner Kerr with motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a second by Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Yep. Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes passed unanimously. And then we're on to Historic Preservation Plan updates.
Yes. So as just as a reminder, we within the last few months we did award the contract to conduct to a consultant to conduct the and develop the historic preservation plan. We've done the first bit of work on that, just kind of laying the groundwork document. The second follow-up is going to be the first public workshop. Excuse me. That's been scheduled to take place in the third week of October. October 19th will be the public workshop. The 20th will be, at least as it stands now, it's kind of tentative, but hopefully everyone is able to make it. But we tentatively have a sit-down one-on-one meeting with the consultants in the HRC. That would be a Thursday morning, as it's currently drafted, the schedule. We can try to work around something with as far as schedules being what they are, but everything, the public workshop will be in the evening with the one-on-one small group breakouts and conversations during the day, the work day on Thursday, October 20th. So that's currently how we have that. So that's the latest that's on that. So it's about 5 weeks out from now. The way we currently have it, we're going to have an oversight committee that will basically be shepherding the final document, making sure hopefully they'll be participating on one level during these public meetings, but then the responsibility of the oversight committee would really be to make sure that how that gets translated into the final document, and making sure that everything that was received, all the testimony and input that was received, is accurately reflected and fairly given fair weight in the final document. So it's not really like a crafting, it's more just to make sure that, that it's reflective of the public outreach. Beyond that, there are plans to have 3 stakeholder groups, small group sessions with the consultant. One being preservation advocates, people who are just interested in advocating for historic preservation related issues. One focused on neighborhoods and residents within the more residential neighborhoods and the historic districts, and then the other being more the business or development community, and trying to get some feedback from them. So,
When are those?
I'm sorry?
When are those?
Those are also going to be on the 20th. It's going to be on Thursday the 20th. So at different times throughout the day, but that's how we have it. It's just the consultants are just in for really 2 full days, with travel days on either end. So 4 days, but 2 full days in town to do the public outreach. We're still looking to identify people to participate in the stakeholder groups, as well as the oversight committee. But we have a pretty good idea of who we want for the the oversight committee. But the small group, so residents, neighborhood folks, anyone who you might want to suggest, I'd be happy and really encourage you to send those my way with some contact info if you have it. That's always helpful. Including business interests, more private side, private sector, kind of design professionals, developer, in private side, and business owners who will maybe have experience working with older buildings, might own a building, might be reluctant to have a historic building. I would be interested in hearing a variety of, including a variety of perspectives in that conversation. So, again, I would certainly encourage you to please send suggestions my way, because folks know a lot more people than I or we, at city staff could ever know. So that'd be greatly appreciated. Just an update, I think we're still tracking to wrap this total project up around May of next year. The second in-person outreach effort will be taking place sometime early next year. So this is the first one. There'll be a second follow-up in person, and then a third one towards the end, kind of showing the final product. And that'll be wrapping up in late spring, early summer time. Happy to answer any questions if you guys have any.
Is it acceptable if we wanted to sit in the back of the room and listen to the stakeholder meetings that are going on, or are we prohibited from doing that? I would keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Just being ears.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Certainly, the public workshop is going to be for all of the public, and it'll be kind of a similar but broader focus. I'd be happy to ask, see what the consultants' thoughts are on that. I don't have a strong opinion either way, but I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you, Carl. And the next item is HRC recruitment.
Yeah, and just a reminder, I don't know if some of you might know that we did open up the vacancy. As you know, we have an open seat here on the HRC. We reopened that. We're accepting applications until Monday, November 19th. So until 5 o'clock, it's a Monday, September 19th. So there's a form out there to feel free to please distribute to anyone who might be interested. It'd be great to have a full commission.
You haven't received anything yet.
No, I'm not aware of us receiving
Yeah.
an application yet. So I believe that there were a couple of interested parties out there.
Okay.
Hopefully we get at least one. But please, the more the merrier. So please distribute. They're available online as well.
Okay, you can tell them we get chocolate.
Yeah, you get chocolate once a year.
So,
They can have my chocolate as a
yeah.
Although I
Annual-
Thank
appreciate it
you.
very much. So you probably
When I've talked to people about the position here, is that they look through the list of all the things that we're looking for, and they say, well, I don't really fit into any of those, so therefore, I'm not qualified. I understand that these are our goals. What kind of response, do we still want to hear from those people who may have special interests, experience with their own house, whatever, or should I just let them say I'm not qualified, so 'cause I don't meet any of these things?
Right. I don't know if I have the membership list in front of me, our current, yeah, I do. So the way it's laid out is that I believe in the municipal code that establishes it, I think it's all a guide. So yeah, you're right that we want to find as many people who fit into at least one of those categories, if at all possible. And I thought there was something that talked about like really shouldn't have more than 2 people who are just the catch-all, but that don't have that. Again, I don't think it is a hard and fast rule. I think I would still probably recommend, suggest that if they're interested, they should apply.
They should go ahead and apply. 'Cause,
I think.
Yeah, I
The
think,
worst case scenario, I think, is they don't
get
appointed, but I think it would still be.
Okay.
yeah, I think Part D says
So you're the only-
additional members representing the general public as needed.
And I kind of want to say that we have 2 folks that currently are under D.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be great if we could get some more representative folks of that list of the experience with historic preservation in one of those other capacities. That's preferable.
Contractor?
But if they're the only applicant, I don't know if
fine.
we're not
Right.
going to fill it just because
It's
of that.
not, but it'd be
So I
nice.
don't know. It's not up to staff, or it's up to council is the one who
Right, who chooses.
chooses
Yes.
this. So I would recommend they go ahead and submit, and I would hate to recommend people who are interested to not turn in an application.
Is it just one position?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all I got.
okay, well, thank you. Anything else anybody wants to bring up? No? Okay, I think we're done then, 7:23.
Gosh, you're fast.
We're adjourned.
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 Gosh, you're fast.